We're live. Here is Nashville's real estate market, first part of April for March of 2024. What happened in Davidson Williamson County? Well, the market is hot and it is bad news for buyers. Bad news for buyers, especially ones that were maybe waiting for things to do what the news headlines said would do, that are um, meant to get clicks and are sort of nationwide news outlets. Real estate is local, and having a fiduciary in your corner to consult and guide with you and educate you about the market and how it relates to you specifically, I think is really, really important. So I just over the years see people miss opportunities because I think the news they're getting is not uh, designed specifically for them. So that's my sort of summary of what's happening in the market and my advice for somebody that is out there. If you don't have somebody in like that in your corner, you should get somebody like that in your corner, whether it's my team or someone else. So let's get into the numbers. Then I want to talk a little bit about who does it make sense to buy now or sell now versus buy later or sell later. And then we'll get a little bit into predictions for upcoming Fed meetings and that kind of thing. So the natural real estate market, if we went back, if you saw our video in early March for February, you heard me say that mid-February, the market here in Nashville really popped. And it popped in a way that is different than last year. It's common that springtime, really transactions really tick up. There's twice as many transactions by the time we get to summer as there are in the winter. And last year, that didn't really happen. In 2023, there was a little bit of a lag. This year, it really popped. Like it was obvious what was going on. It was just an influx mid-February. It's like we had a few warm days, along with people maybe being cooped up and really just sick of waiting for rates to do what everybody hopes they would do, which would go down a little bit more than they have, or go down more, or go down rather. But that hasn't really happened. Rates currently are at about 7.25 as we sit today, and so I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly all the reasons specifically why, but mid-February things popped. Clients that we were working with, we let them know, hey, it seems like now might be an opportunity. If you want 123 Main Street, it's probably a good time. And so sure enough, the data has come out and prices have shot up in Williamson County. They're up 11%, significantly over even February. But they shot up 11%, the median price year over year in Davidson County. 11% in Davidson County and 7% median price in Williamson County. That's pretty significant. Days on the market is back under 2 weeks. And so I would say the March market was on fire. From an inventory standpoint, the months of inventory continues to tick up a little bit, and sales have actually gone down significantly. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but prices continue to hold steady and tick up a little bit, regardless of the interest rates, because it's all about supply and demand, and supply is slowly increasing. I wish it would increase more. And again, as soon as interest rates start to go down, we're going to see this spike again in prices. And I don't like it, but it is what it is. It's going to happen. And so for whatever that means for you, just know that that is going to happen. Inventory remains tight. Closings are actually down in Davidson County by 8% and 18% drop in closings in Williamson County. Pretty wild. And yet prices shot up. So that's kind of what's going on in terms of prices, inventory, and sales. In terms of who does it make sense, like for buyers, what kind of buyers it makes sense to buy now versus wait? In my opinion, it makes sense to buy now because there is less competition. However, in mid-February, there was a bump. and we started to see a few more multiple offer scenarios and that sort of thing. Yet the demand is nothing like it's going to be when interest rates begin to go down. So um, I do, yeah. So for somebody that makes sense to buy now would be less competition. For the buyer that makes sense to wait to buy is if you're just extremely rate sensitive. And I mean that just in if your budget and that sort of thing is really, if a 1% difference in your interest rate means, you know, uh, that you can now buy a home and you can't now, obviously you just need to wait. If you can't afford what you want to buy and are not willing to sort of scale down expectations for whatever that house is and that doesn't work, then you shouldn't buy it and you should wait. So lower rates. And then also, so that's that. Who does it make sense to sell now versus wait to sell? For selling now is definitely somebody with a home sale contingency. If you're going to be using the equity in your existing home to buy the next home, and yes, there are ways to get bridge loan type things and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, if you must sell your current home in order to buy your next home, now is a great time to do that. We are seeing some multiple offers, but it's nothing like it's been in the past. So what does that mean? That means that sellers are more inclined to entertain offers where there is a contingency that if your home doesn't sell, the contract terminates essentially. So a seller that has to have a home sale contingency definitely makes sense for them to sell now. For the seller that doesn't have a home sale contingency, maybe have a little bit unique of a property, or maybe if you don't get a specific number that is usually tied to sort of a optimistic view of the value of the home, you might hold off. You might hold off until later so that the market is more predictable. Closings aren't going down to 18, aren't going down 8 to 18%, but sales are climbing and things feel more steady. For somebody like that is going to be very price sensitive, um, again, consult with your agent. It is a risk, right? Like if you've got a home and if you don't get 1.5, um, then things don't work. And an optimistic view puts your house at 145, 1.4. You just have to assess what is the risk. Do you really want to go through the brain damage of selling? I say that lightly, but selling is it's a lot of hassle, and that's why our team takes really seriously trying to take as much off of your plate, try to reduce as many hassles as possibly, and really assume maximum responsibility for the headache and the brain damage that is selling a home. So um, that would just be a scenario that you have to assess. Is it worth preparing preparing the home for the market, pricing it, going through showings, sort of the emotional process of getting on the market and anticipating, not really knowing what's next? If it's close, then it could be worth it. If you're too far off, then you should probably wait until either the price sensitivity changes or the market changes. So that would be my words. Just my 2 cents on the kind of seller that it makes sense to hold off and sell later. All right, so let's talk about predictions. The Fed has a meeting May 1st. The CPI report just came out. Inflation, they're calling it sticky. That just means it's not moving downward at the pace that they had hoped. And we had been sort of seeing 3.2 as the monthly rate. Now we saw it at 3.5 just this week came out. That's not good news for mortgage rates going down. So we have a Fed meeting May 1 and June 12th. Originally, a lot of people were expecting come June 12th, Fed's going to lower the Fed rate. Mortgage rates will begin to come down. My opinion is I think inflation is too sticky, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think we might be, unfortunately, in a period where I don't know that we'll see any rate reductions for the rest of the year if we continue seeing inflation at, mid threes and not going towards the 2% goal that the Fed has always had. So that's kind of predictions. As always, real estate is not only local, but it's hyper individualistic. I don't know if that's a term, but like what your situation is what matters. So if there's something that we can do to answer a question on one of these videos, or if you'd like for us to consult with you on just taking a look at your scenario and giving you our advice based on our experience and based on what we believe are options for you to consider that are in your best interest, wherever you're watching this, reach out to us. We'd love to chat. And I know it's a work day. Can you see my masters? I went to the masters. Went to the masters last year. I wish I was there now. But I'm watching it on TV. To be honest, I'm not as productive yesterday and today as I should be. But it's only once a year. So I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next video.